felt that he's struggled to transition his individual advantages that he's consistently able to create into victories for his team, right? And I think that is the thing that, you know, they really need someone to step up. And like, if somebody is able to get an edge on top side, if DoubleLift is able to get an edge on bot side, they need that to turn into more, right? It needs to be like, okay, you got to kill, now we're going to pressure the tower. Okay, you got to kill top, now we're going to take Herald. And that is really where you need your jungler to get involved and be involved in these lanes. And you're talking about closer and, you know, the conversation for worst jungler in the league. We are going into the last week of the split. He is still yet to be involved in a single first blood for his team. Not an assist, not a kill, not one. And that is a crazy stat to me to be this far into this season and not be involved in a single one. And that is shocking compared to his previous levels of play.
Exactly. I think for any jungler, it would be surprising just because of the nature of the role and how pro play works, with you not generally being expected to die in a fair fight. And jungler's normally the one who's making the fight unfair. But for a guy like this who has always been in the conversations at the top, the context makes it even more frustrating if you're a fan of 100 Thieves. But let's check out how the draft is going so far. It's Azir, Rel, and Rumble banned out by Dig, LeBlanc, Ivern, and Poppy for 100 Thieves. Blue side first pick Kaisa is just becoming the stock standard recipe these days, so Dig will happily lock that in. They're going to get Nautilus, they're going to get Sejuani along with it, so a strong tank line with lots of CC and engage. Over on the other side, it's Jayce picked up along with that Maokai. I'm expecting it in the jungle, but hey, we saw earlier, could be flexed down to support if they want to have the second support Maokai pick since 2021.
Yep. I mean, hey, we hadn't seen a Moo in a while. We got back-to-back games, so you never know.
And we're going to get the Xayah here too, because hey, Kaisa, Nautilus, Sejuani, those guys all love to kill the AD carry. Xayah's great at avoiding.
Exactly. I mean, it is becoming kind of one of those really common trades as, you know, one team goes Kaisa, generally means they're committing more towards dive, so the other team's like, all right, we'll take Xayah, right? And it is becoming, it's not to the point, but it is starting to feel a little bit like when we were getting Yuumi, Lulu trades and like Zeri versus
I can hear the choppers, Isaac.
Stuff, you know?
I can hear the choppers. Stop it. That's no more Yuumi, Lulu, Zeri. Please stop.
Well, these are the new ones, you know? So it's different.
At least one of these ones dives. All right, so let's get into the second half here. Tristana banned out. That's another really popular marksman with some flex capability, just like Kaisa has. Rakan going to be banned away. Break up in the bot lane. They don't want to allow Xayah to have that natural partner there. Also, really good because a lot of times when one team likes to go with an engaged support, the other team likes to do the same just to make sure they're not always playing on the first squad's terms. So banning out an engage that also pairs really well with the enemy AD carry feels good.
It's also really interesting that, you know, in seasons past, I don't think you would see Tristana banned in this situation against Jensen, because generally speaking, he's not been an AD guy. He's not been a physical damage mid lane player, but he does have 2 Jayce games mid this split, as well as his Tristana game that he played. So he is kind of diversifying a little bit there, you know, opening up the champion pool away from what has been almost exclusively mages and AP champions in mid lane over a very long, very successful career here in NA. So it's cool to see him still kind of making some changes, even after having been around for such a long time.
Okay, we've got the Renekton banned out by 100 Thieves. Alistar banned from Dignitas. Alistar banned from Dignitas tells me you want to play Sylas or Rel, probably. We'll see if 100 Thieves ends up swooping up that Rel for themselves. It's been... Oh, it's already banned away. I'm sorry. I'm talking complete nonsense here. So, Alistar being banned away, if nothing else, just gives you powerful disengage, or could still always be a Sylas angle.
Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely be a Sylas angle if you're trying to keep that open for yourselves. Is something that you definitely have to watch out for, you know, if you wanted to go for it here. It is going to be Renata. So Renata, I think one of the primary disengage supports, you know, the counter engage is so powerful there, but I do love the pick of Ziggs. You don't have to hard commit to playing for this full dive comp. They do have a lot more poke now from their carry. So it's going to be Ziggs mid. It's going to be, well, actually, it could still be both, you know, before I speak too soon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because it actually could be played AD. I'm still assuming that it will be Ziggs mid. Because most ADs, honestly, just aren't really that comfortable playing mages. Gwen is going to be, I think, a bit of a wrench in the gear here, as it is something that can play through side lane. You could potentially look towards 1-3-1, where I think the Dignitas comp really wants to be group 5'd and playing around this poke. If you do go AP Kaisa, it is going to be pretty easy to itemize against this team. You know, a lot of Merc treads, a lot of MR could make things a little bit problematic for them. But that being said, there is potential to have that dive. If you actually land Nautilus ultimate onto one of these sketchy champions, I think Jayce is going to be that primary target. It's going to be the Nautilus ult into the Ziggs ult. You know, all this damage from long range that can put you out of a fight almost immediately becomes really, really difficult to deal with. You have great wave clear as well. But 100 Thieves are drafting a bit of a different style of composition for themselves. You know, it had been Quid on Azir so often, you know, more towards tanks in top, hyper carries in mid and bot, and you look to go late, right? So they are trying something a little.
Don't get value out of all the branches. Renata says, thank you very much. All of a sudden, all those guys are hitting each other. That combo can be deadly.
It really can. I do worry for Dignitas, and we'll see if this ends up being an actual issue for them. I do worry that they're too low on damage and that they are a little bit magic damage heavy. You know, that is my concern. I do think it was a clever pivot because they're showing Kaisa early, and they're like, okay, we have Kaisa and Nautilus. Like, we're gonna go full dive. You know, you need to draft for this. So one of the things that's really powerful into Xayah and some of these champions is long range and poke, right? So like, haha, we gotcha. We're going Ziggs instead.
Yeah,
but I feel like if they had another physical damage threat up in top lane, yes, Rich on Ksante, you know, is going to be some of that, but I do think that they are very AP heavy because it's likely going to be Shiv Rush and Natures, which is what we're seeing like almost every single game from Kaisa. And if it's that build, and you just have AP Kaisa, AP Ziggs, and a bunch of tanks, I think that could be a concern because 100 Thieves can just play side lanes. And if you go 1-3-1, like the skirmishes and stuff are going to be very heavily favored, I think, 200 Thieves because they have way more threats.
Okay, remember, a lot on the line for both of these teams here in this game. Win and you're in. That's how Emily put it. You're going to lock that playoff spot. You're looking really good. The loser then becomes the target for any one of the squads trying to catch up there and steal that 8th place spot. So both of them have a lot to play for here. And DoubleLift tweeting out earlier, happy birthday to DoubleLift. One of the all-time greats here in North America. In my opinion, the all-time great in North America. I'm sorry, Bjergsen stands. I think DoubleLift takes the #1 spot. But Busio and him are going to have to do some work here in this one. Honestly, you already said it. Busio and DoubleLift have had some really strong moments so far this split. It's unfortunately just been in games where the rest of the team's collapsing around the map.
Yeah, I mean, they have had some good moments in games that they won. Of course, you know, they do have 6 wins here, but it's just not translated, I think, consistently to what they were really hoping for here. Quid has not really been able to have too much of an impact in most of his time. Closer, I think, is really having an off split, so they need to come together. They need to be able to really step it up. I think they have obviously an incredible shot at making playoffs. I think it's very unlikely that FlyQuest will pass them, but they want to do more than just get to playoffs and then lose, right? They're looking to have a deep run. They're looking to try to win a championship. Santorin, though, looking for a gank here early on, and Busio's way up.
Yeah, Busio only level 2 on the Renata, way far forward. And you can see Santorin even throwing the W2 the other way, just in case Busio tried to flash. It guarantees the kill on it anyway, because if he stays where he was, his team's already got it picked up. Beautifully pathed from Santorin. That's what I love to see from this guy. That's what I know Santorin as, a supportive jungler with good pathing.
Absolutely. That is kind of his bread and butter in the LCS. And that's something I think he lost a little bit coming into summer. In spring, even though Dignitas was way worse, he always got these creative early game kills, and then everything fell apart and they would lose. But, you know, he was able to find them. A little asterisk, you know, on the end. But, you know, I think he hasn't been able to find as many early plays as he was in spring. Overall, though, I think he's still having a solid split, and especially recently when he's been on his Poppy games, I've been really impressed with his Poppy games. I think that is kind of his bread and butter when he plays these tanky, supportive style junglers. He is very creative, and they just were not expecting a 3-camp into bot gank from this position. They had the push, they had the early level 2, they wanted to use this range versus melee support matchup to their advantage, and as a result, just kind of made it a freebie there for Santorin.
Yeah, nicely played, well recognized from Dignitas. Now let's see. I don't think Closer's really got a whole lot he can do here. Just throws one of those saplings into the brush. Jensen's already back underneath the turret here as Quid shoved him up early in the mid lane matchup. Closer's just going to wait, make sure nothing else happens here as DoubleLift and Busio are about to crash that wave in bottom lane right as Tomo arrives back. So at least the silver lining there for Dignitas is Tomo will be able to pick up most, if not all, of these. As Santorin and Closer are going to find one another in the jungle. Jensen only about half HP. Quid's going to rotate over to this. He does not have a lot of mana to work with, so it's not as threatening as 100 Thieves would like it to be. Closer popping the flash, going after Santorin, who flashes back out of the way. Now 100 Thieves got to be careful because Quid's in danger. Remember, not any mana left on the Jayce, but he did have enough there for the acceleration gate to get himself out of trouble.
At the end of the day, it is just that 1-for-1 trade here. Jensen doing a build that is very popular on the Ziggs. You just start for the Sapphire Crystal, you go towards Futures Market, and you try to get a super early Lost Chapter where you can then theoretically just kind of wait for your Infinite and become really annoying to deal with. So we'll see if he has the goal to actually make that purchase here. that is what he is going to be looking for, and I think he has it.
Yeah.
So that is, you know, a really big buy. When you can hit that, even gets the Dark Seal on top, you're kind of sitting pretty after that. You know, once you have that Lost Chapter, you're really not going to struggle with the mana issues at all. So Ziggs now going to be in that comfort zone as closer, looking potentially up towards top. Would be a great start for him if he could try to get involved early.
Yeah, he already used the flash with the Twisted Advance back in the river, trying to make that move on Santorin there, which I have to question a little bit, just because you know your Jayce is out of mana. I don't think that's ever really going to translate into a full-on kill, so the flash felt a little excessive. But he'll just go top, see that there's no really opportunity to do anything, so back away instead. Both mid laners have used their teleports back into mid lane, and they used them right alongside one another. I remember you brought it up in one of our previous games, how if you can force the teleport earlier, you can get an advantage there by chunking the guy out before using yours, but not the case here in mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Quid was totally oom. Jensen was pretty low, so both ended up going back at that same time. So we'll see Jensen just clearing out that wave as a slight advantage there for Quid. Pretty quiet game overall. Yeah. Top basically dead even. Bot basically dead even as far as the farm is concerned. It's just the one kill. The way of Dignitas. That first blood gold plus the assist gold is really all that it is.
Rich immediately goes in, flashing after Someday, forcing the ulti out of him. As mid lane also turns into a bit of a brawl, but not a whole lot there. As Rich on that Ksante, man, flash for flash up in top side, wanted to try to go in. Remember that when Ksante goes all out, he doesn't have to worry about the fact that he's low on mana because he just gets to start casting the spells for free. So Rich really wanted to threaten something, but Someday respecting it enough, familiar enough with Ksante to know if he's going in, he wants to go all the way.
Yep, absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's just that trade of flashes, and he didn't use his ult, you know, so as soon as Someday respected the play and immediately flashed and used his own ult, I think Rich is saying, okay, I'm not actually going to chase into this, right? Yep. You know, especially the later uses of that ulti for Gwen do so much damage. So you have to really be careful about that, about chasing into those needles. And it is going to be probably like a Force of Nature rush, I'm guessing here, from Rich, just try to tank up. And I think that always feels really good when it is, you know, Maokai plus Gwen topside. It's mostly magic damage you're going to be dealing with in the early stages. Could, of course, just be sitting on that early MR, but that's kind of what I'm expecting. We'll see if he can find an angle here while Gwen does not have ulti, because he still has his all out and could win that 1v1.
100 Thieves with a 4-man rotation over to Dragon. Everybody not named Someday ready for this one, and nobody from Dignitas is in the neighborhood, so Closer can pick that up for free. No smite available, so he's just going to have to auto-attack the thing to death. One more schmack. There we go. First drink of the game picked up for 100 Thieves. The gold lead still remaining just about the value of that first blood that Dignitas got nice and early for them.
Yep, going to be able to get that, but it has closed a bit. You know, it's now even less than what you would get because you get the first blood plus the assist, so Dignitas winning out slightly in that farm to be able to get that little bit of an advantage back, but we'll see where they can go from here. I think both teams, you know, have quite good scaling, so it's just going to be about how they actually want to approach this game, because you know, on the side of Dignitas, obviously they have this massive front line. They have these two carries that are going to scale really well into the game. But 100 Thieves also, I think as long as they're getting early dragons, are going to be pretty happy to play it slow, because if there's not really a threat like something of a soul, then there's no way to force them into a 5v5, and they can play it out slow. They can look towards side lanes. Rich has a much earlier move here, but does have to be a bit careful. DoubleLift and Quid are kind of zoned out by those mines, though, from Ziggs, so it gets a bit awkward here for 100 Thieves, who are trying to force that play because Tomo was late to move. So Tomo now is reaching mid lane, but this is going to force DoubleLift to answer mid, otherwise they're going to give up plates there. So now it gets pretty weird for 100 Thieves, because DoubleLift has to answer, and it puts Dignitas in the temporary 5v4.
And Rich might have looked like he was in some trouble there in the middle of 2 or 3 enemy health bars, but the ones that were close was just Closer and Busio, so no real damage threat onto a Ksante. He could just walk away from it. And now Dignitas has control over the river area. The Maokai ulti comes through with a Ziggs bomb, ready to back him up. Poome will not escape, and 100 Thieves grabs their first kill of the game. The Herald's going to be traded back to Dig, so it's a kill for a Herald at the end.
Yeah, it is the kill for the Herald. The Ziggs bomb did a lot of work, and I think kind of dissuaded 100 Thieves from continuing that play, from pushing forward, as it was, you know, a lot of low health bars there. Poome goes down at the end of the day. Obviously, you know, has swapped in after last week. You know, came in last week for Diamond, made that swap. They weren't able to get any wins, unfortunately, with him for Dignitas, but here it is one more time. They try to walk in. You can see Jensen had the mines down on that entrance, gets the ulti, lands on a couple members, has them chunked pretty low. So yes, they do get that one kill back onto Poome, but Rich was zoning out the Gwen on the top side. They grab that Herald. This is going to be, you know, as much or more value, assuming they get that crash and get some plates. It's going to be better for sure than the one kill that 100 Thieves got.
Exactly. It's all about that usage. As long as we don't end up letting the eye get lost in whatever plan they have and it ends up getting summoned, walks down a lane and dies for nothing. That's always one of the little caveats you have to these, because unfortunately you do get that every now and again. But hopefully for Dig, they've got a plan in mind for it. Still plenty available to take. You can see across top lane and mid lane both, no plates have been taken. If Xayah would move her icon, I could see bottom as well. Xayah, get away from the turret.
I can check for you.
Okay, no plates have been taken anywhere. 10.5 minutes into the game, not a single plate has been taken in any lane by either team. Very passive early game.
It's been a pretty passive early game. You know, there's kind of a lot of trading of farm back and forth. There have been some swings, but a lot of it hasn't resulted in kills. Has just been little bits of pressure here and there. You can see the Shiv now done for Tomo. DoubleLift's going to be going Kraken Rush. Likely just finish up that pretty soon here. Should have enough gold just about in pocket. So yeah, he's going to have his first item done here pretty soon. Next dragon spawns in 140. And they are going to get the flash off Quid. I mean, if 100 Thieves can get the second dragon, that's where I feel like you always have bought so much time to play through sides, and that's where you can really start to open up the map, because then any threat of a soul is pushed back so far for your opponents. So 100 Thieves are playing pretty heavily in this area. They have the Maokai, which always gives you the edge if you are first there to set up. You can get those saplings in all the brushes. It is likely going to be a Demonic Embrace rush here for closer, so we'll be going, I think, that AP variant.
Yep. Looks to be that. Usually, you can tell that by the jungle item, right?
Yep,
the little
red.
Ember Pup or whatever it's called.
He's got the Charizard.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I call it too. I'm like, it's the Charmander pet. So that's the one.
Oh, it's unevolved. Okay.
Right, yeah, because it's still a baby.
True,
well, actually, it's a Charmeleon one right now because he's got 10 stacks left. So that means it's the level 2 one.
Okay.
All right. But I'm glad we think about this the same way.
Yeah.
It's like Ember
Who's
Dog.
that Pokemon?
Yeah, it's Ember Dog. We got the
It's nondescript red-colored dog. That is not a copyright infringement.
Exactly. I mean, at this point, there's like 900 of them anyway. Some of them are like garbage bags, so I'm sure there's a red dog somewhere.
Sure, there probably is.
At least none of the jungle items gives you a garbage bag.
It was actually, to be honest, I would be kind of down for the garbage bag.
Oh man, Sunday's in the garbage bag now, and Rich put him there, took him out to the end of the curve, 1v1, the solo kill in top lane.
Damn, Rich gets the kill onto Someday. Now looking for more on bot side.
Santorin wanted to flash in to follow up to the lockdown on Busio, but it won't work, so Nature's Grasp now going to find the counter attack for 100 Thieves. The Renata ulti only hits Santorin, so now Dignitas disengage. Resources committed from both sides, but nobody's really in danger of dying down here in the 4v4.
Yeah, no one going to go down on that bot side. But Rich gets the solo kill and a plate on top side. Nearly gets a second, but does want to actually take his reset. So I wonder if he's going to reset and just TP back towards top. I do think they're way too late to actually challenge here at the dragon. Yeah. So 100 Thieves at the very least will grab the second dragon of the game. We'll see what kind of soul it's going to be. Chemtech, so unlucky for them.
Gas Dragon.
Yep.
The greatest dragon of all.
Garbage bag Pokemon and a gas dragon.
Garbage bag dragon.
It is the garbage bag dragon. There's one in League.
Yeah, we have he's a legendary. You always get sad when you get him instead of one of the other one.
It's the toxic fumes that come out of the garbage bag, you know?
Garbage bag dragon. Yeah, because they all have passives now. Garbage bag dragon's passive is sadness. Makes all players sad when he spawns on the ridge.
Except the opponents. The opponents who can't get the soul, they're happy.
Yeah, the opponents who opted to go for the 1,500 gold lead side versus the 2 Drake side are like, hey, you know what? We made the right call. Results-based analysis.
Exactly.
We did it.
Thank you, past me.
I'd like to thank myself for making this possible 14 minutes ago. Speaking of which, it is just about 14 minutes into the game, so still 14 plates standing on the side of Dignitas. The Thieves only grabbing that single one, as we have the one plate down in mid lane, and turret plating has fallen, so at least they were able to get a couple down here on the bot side for Dig. That is where a good chunk of that gold lead is coming from.
Yeah, we'll see if there's going to be a play towards that second Herald here. It is always extra value when you have a Ziggs on your team with it, because you chunk the turret low and then you can execute it with the satchel. So I do think Dignitas will want to continue playing towards that. Also going to be curious in will they challenge here at that third dragon, just try to stop the march towards soul. It is the worst soul, but it's still a soul, right? It still has a lot of power in there. It's trying its best, you know?
It's giving
it's
effort.
Out there.
This is the participation trophy dragon.
Not a lot of effort, but
he got out of bed and
spawned.
He came to the Rift today.
Like, all right,
that's what he did.
15 minutes late to work, but you know,
he's there.
The webcam's off in the remote meetings. He's not really paying attention.
Coworkers are asking him how he is. He's like, "Yep, I'm here." Yeah. All right, the 4-man dive onto Someday here in the top lane as the Nature's Grasp is not going to lock down Dignitas in time to prevent the death, but it will at least get one back. Oh no, it's only a turret kill on Poome, so it's not a true kill back for 100 Thieves. Quid tried to TP in, but he just turned himself into a gift basket.
Dignitas crushing now, open up a 3K gold lead. Gonna be able to go over to the Herald off of this as well. The early game woes continuing 400 Thieves as it's Dignitas finding the better plays. They get that top tier 1. They're going to be able to get the Herald very likely here. And if they do secure this, they could just drop it mid. That plus a satchel means the second turret would be going down. And Tomo is enough to push back Busio and Closer there, dissuade them from checking this Herald. So it will be theirs. Dignitas looking really good in these early minutes.
All right, good job, Dignitas. If all else fails, death ball it down top. Just dive the dude, blow up the turret, and 100 Thieves thinking they would have a chance to get something back. Unfortunately, not even getting the kill credit there on the Poome, who ended up dying purely to turret damage.
Yep, no one was able to actually tag him at all on the other side. Someday trying to avoid the hook there, goes for the dash, wasn't able to get it off. The Shroud came down a little bit late. And then the tower is so low that it just gets executed right as Quid arrives. And you can see the 100 Thieves bot lane was still pretty far away. So honestly, even if the tower was still there, I think he's still pretty dead. I don't think you're really going to be able to get much out of that. So now the play that I was talking about earlier, this was already a low tower. Jensen's just going to be able to satchel that. Easy peasy. Might even hold on to it. So they want to go for the tier 2.
Yeah, they didn't even need the satchel for that when that second Herald charge has plenty of firepower behind it. Here we go. Satchel just about armed, and there it is. 1-2 punch. Dignitas ballooning that gold lead up even more.
Really nicely done. And Jensen's getting pretty rich at this point. I do believe he's richest in the game. Yeah, 10 gold ahead of Tomo, so a monstrous lead over his teammate.
Absolutely incredible. Hey, as long as it's another guy on your own team,
exactly.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And he's going to have quite a bit of gold in pocket. So has another 800 gold in pocket. Already has a large rod. Tomo did complete his second item. I don't think that the issue that I was talking about earlier with both them going AP and them being mostly magic damage focused is going to be that much of an issue because they have such a large gold lead at this point. I think the 100 Thieves would have to get really late in the game for that to become a problem. And Closer is also going the AP variant, so no one's really building any MR at this point whatsoever. So I don't think it's going to be a concern, and Dignitas are in a great spot as long as they can take this next dragon that really does eliminate one of the only win conditions for 100 Thieves at this time, and it doesn't look like 100 Thieves are in a position to really try to challenge for it whatsoever.
Yeah, the Thieves are all on the other side of the map, and I always like to talk about the wards can tell the story of the game. Right now, all of the wards for 100 Thieves are defensive. The furthest ones out are in the river. DoubleLift losing half his HP there to Tomo, as he and Poome and Santorin are in a 3v4 that they happen to be winning right now. Featherstorm's already uses the depth charge, forcing out the flash from DoubleLift. Rich is ready to come in from the side. The ulti from Busio will not dissuade Dignitas, who kill the enemy AD carry. They force the jungler back with no HP, and Dig just made the play.
Yeah, nice play there from Dignitas. 100 Thieves try to contest that mid wave, see if there was any sort of an option to be able to move in towards that dragon, but they just go for DoubleLift, able to engage on him immediately. He does have a pretty good ulti. He tries to flash back, but it's Rich on the roam down from top lane. Someday stayed top. Rich makes the roam, gets a kill there, then TP's back up towards top to defend the tier 1. So Rich having another great Ksante game here, and Dignitas will stop the stack towards Soul here. Jensen's going to get the tier 1, no problem. So it is now 4 towers to 0 for Dignitas. We can see it one more time. Look comes through. This was a little bit of a weird one because it looked like he was in the air from the hook when his ulti went off, but the ulti is there to follow from Poome. In goes Tomo with the killer instinct, trying to get into that back line. Jensen had an ulti from downtown, was down in that bot side river, is able to land that on multiple members, and then Rich just comes in, cleans up a kill. Someday was never there, so Rich TP's back up towards top, holds that wave, and Dignitas extending the lead that much further here.
extending their own lead, and like you said, critically stopping any sort of a power spike that 100 Thieves could have tried to get with a soul. We're 30 seconds away from Baron first spawning on the map, and 4,500 gold at 20 minutes is nothing to scoff at. This is enough where if you get a couple more good kills, all of a sudden that turns into a Baron, all of a sudden the gold leads 9,000, all of a sudden your Nexus goes pop, and Dignitas is in playoffs.
Absolutely. Dignitas trying to secure their trip to playoffs here. 100 Thieves obviously going to be trying to problem solve the way back into this game. I think the only way you really can get back into this game is by slowing down the pace, playing through sides, being able to find picks, being able to find skirmishes, but they're so far down in gold that Dignitas is going to force your hand, right? Dignitas is going to start fights. They're going to be starting objectives, looking for turns. They have a lot of good ways to start fights here with the Nautilus, with the Sejuani. There's so many kind of good ways to catch out anyone from 100 Thieves who is trying to check forward and keep this defensive line of vision that they have.
All right, 100 Thieves, pressure's on, man. All of a sudden, those control wards, those sweepers are going to start making the map feel a lot smaller than it already is. Rich still comfortable in that side lane against Someday. When you draft the Gwen into this Ksante, you want to start running the show in the 1v1. You want to have this dude sitting under the turret, just waiting, tapping his foot on the ground for the minion wave to get there, but that's not the case, not in this game, as Poome and Santorin are the ones who could find the lockdown here if they want to fight up against 100 Thieves, but Jensen was not quite there in time, so they don't want to fire their guns just yet. Back in bottom lane, still just wave clearing. You can see in the picture-in-picture. As Dignitas back away, it's still just a little bit too dicey to take this fight right now.
I think if you're 100 Thieves, you're kind of praying that Someday can find a 1v1 outplay. If he could solo kill Rich, the map starts to open up a lot because he has TP advantage. If you get a kill inside lane, maybe you can try to force something around Baron. Maybe you can make a play that can bring you back into this game, but it is going to be tough because look at the vision for Dignitas. They have so much more vision throughout this river area. It's only this defensive line of vision. Like, that's about as far forward as it goes. The rest is all dig. Even on the bot side of the map, you can see, again, it's just this defensive line of vision. So it is really hard to actually push out. And all 100 Thieves are trying to do is just keep up enough vision in their own jungle so they can at least check the Baron, because they kind of know they're at this deficit, whereas if you lose Baron, the game pretty much ends.
And you're talking about Rich versus Someday, so I want to point something out. Rich just completed his second full item in the Force of Nature. He did go for the Iceborne first after just sitting on the cloak like you were talking about. But his third item, the Bramble Vest. And I really like this because even though it's just a pure armor item, remember that it inflicts grievous wounds when you take an auto attack. And versus Gwen, even though she is a battle mage type character, that does mean she's weaving auto attacks a lot. So that healing that you're normally afraid of with those big ultis coming in, especially on the third cast, it's going to be cut if she's trying to maximize her damage. So I like this as a pickup for him in the matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to make that drain tanking that much harder, and we're seeing them fight in bot side.
All right, let's go. Rich is all out. He's ready to take this fight to Someday, who has that third charge of the ulti. Doesn't get enough healing as he'd like from it, and now Tomo jumps in with a killer instinct. There's the Acathian rain, and when it rains, it pours. Tomo picks up the kill.
Nicely done there by Tomo. Somebody nearly had Rich. It was looking like it was going to be a pretty close finish to that fight. But it is never a fair fight, and Tomo's going to be able to swoop in there, finalize the kill. Does cost him his flash and his ulti, but it is more advantage to Dignitas here. Once again, the ulti was popped there early by Someday, trying to get those ultis going, and he just goes all out, brings it back towards Tomo. You can see Tomo on the map was already moving up here, trying to look to get in range. He does do so. Was not able to actually get that auto attack out as he lost vision over that wall, so did have to flash in a follow, kills him off with the Q. Nicely played there by Dignitas. Wouldn't have liked to use the flash, but at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal.
And you still get the kill. You're still getting some more money. He's almost on his third item now. You can see the Shiv and the Nashor is already in the inventory. You talked about how this squad may have had a problem being too AP damage heavy with the Ziggs and the Kaisa being their main threats, but it's not that big of a concern right now. If you look on the other side, the MR is almost non-existent except for shoes.
Exactly. I mean, you knew there was going to be a lot of merc tread stacking on the other side, but when you're behind, you can't afford to build defensive, right? You have to build kind of glass cannon and hope that you find a really good pick, or you find a great entrance into a fight where you can burst someone down and kind of stabilize the game that way, be able to turn around a fight. Because if you're on the losing team and you're down 5k gold and you're like, all right, we're gonna build Banshees and we're gonna build Maw, we're gonna build all these things, it's like you're never gonna have enough damage to actually win out in those 5v5s anyway. So I do think 100 Thieves are making the right choice.
Even if you get the miracle ulti combo, the Maokai and the Renata and everything, all it is wow, a bunch of those big CC bars at the same time and no damage. And, oh well, unlucky. But Dignitas going to pick up their second Drake of the game now. Again, for 100 Thieves. The first 2 Drakes that you got, instead of being a win condition, now just becomes more of its own insurance policy of, hey, at least they won't have the soul early.
Yeah, at least Dignitas is not going to get that soul. And maybe if 100 Thieves, can get a team fight win, can grab a dragon, then maybe that comes to be something that can kind of get back on the table a little bit later on in this game. 100 Thieves, though, still just playing around this top side. Dignitas has been a bit hesitant to kind of pull the trigger on anything more. This gold lead has stabilized, it feels like, over the last couple minutes. I don't think they're massively under pressure or anything to start this up, but it has just been the same rinse and repeat vision game on the top side for quite some time, where it's been about 100 Thieves controlling vision in this area. They've been able to do so. And as long as they have, wards here, they keep that open so that Maokai can kind of just walk up and get wards into the pit. And that's really all they're trying to do at this point. That is why Closer is just staying around here. He needs to constantly throw saplings into the pit, make sure they're not going for a Baron. And if they can make sure that Dignitas never actually takes that Baron and they just continue trading farm, the gold lead means less and less the later the game gets. So there will come a moment where Dignitas, if they can't establish a lead through this kind of passive play, they need to just pull the trigger and say, all right, we're going to start it up, we're going to do something, and then we're going to look for a turn.
And the other thing that I look for, even if the gold ends up staying relatively close and the lead doesn't build any further, how about champion levels? And you can see Santorin just hit level 13, so right now he's 2 levels up over Closer. The mid lane, Jensen having a 1 level lead over Quid. Top, Rich just now hitting 16, so a slight lead over Someday there. DoubleLift actually hitting 15 before Tomo, so doing a good job making sure he's got as much power as he can, considering the state of the game for his team as a whole.
And I imagine DoubleLift is picking up more of these jungle camps. If Maokai has to be glued towards the top side, your AD can just start to farm those out. They're going to look for DoubleLift.
DoubleLift immediately into the Feather Storm to dodge away from the Glacial Prison. Closer and DoubleLift both taking a little bit of damage, but nothing life-threatening. 100 Thieves are going to survive for now, but Dignitas might be able to use this as an opportunity to force the Baron. Poome's going to go ahead and take that Mega Blast Cone back over the wall. They'll clear out the vision. 100 Thieves are now summoned to the pit. Can they try to stop this? The Baron will die rather quickly. It's dropping real fast, buddy. There it goes. The Baron secured by Santorin and Dignitas. As the depth charge was used to mark Closer, keep him away. He had to flash out as well, as Rich will now teleport back into the bottom lane to make sure that Someday won't get something in trade.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, DoubleLift with no ulti there. I think they were just so worried that if they try to actually go for the 5v5, Poome's just going to flash ult him, and then he's dead, right? There's not really a response to that. They're all going to pile in. He's going to get knocked down, and then the 5v5 would go so heavily the way of Dignitas. So they make the call to just look for the smite fight, but Closer wasn't really in position to do it, so he isn't able to actually get any sort of contest on the Baron and has to use his flash to survive anyway, so it is kind of a bit of the worst of both worlds. They were pushing out mid, so sure, they deny a little bit of farm there. They do push out bot, but it's going to be a tough defense now, I think, 400 Thieves, as Dignitas, armed with that Baron buff, are going to have full prio across the map, can march up and start to try to knock down these turrets. Jensen has a ton of AP at this point, which means his passive auto does so much damage to these towers. And I think it's going to be a tough defense for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, Dignitas' control over the map tightens as 100 Thieves try to stand and fight. 5-man defense versus the 4-man push of Dig, because Jensen is still over in mid. He'll be able to take down these turrets all on his own. Look at that tier 3, nearly dead just from the little bit of time that Jensen was exposed to it. And now the rest of Dig can apply the pressure back in the bottom lane. Someday barely clears out that mid lane cannon before we can do anything. Maokai ult to use defensively from Closer to not a great effect, as Rich and Santorin are still plenty healthy enough to tank on the front line. Nice damage there onto Tomo. Quid landing a shock blast means the enemy AD carry has to back up a little bit, but it's double enchanted cannon minions. Those are going to do all the work, and the first tier 3 turret will fall here in bottom lane. Someday coming in from the side, checking to see if there might be an angle, but no, not yet. Tomo's still low. That's the one concern here for Dignitas. They got to make sure that their AD carry just doesn't die instantly, but they're doing a good job making it so they just slowly whittle away at these objectives. There's the hook, not going to find Someday just yet. 100 Thieves, they lose the bot lane inhib, but Dignitas decide that's enough for now. They're going to back and regroup.
Tomo had been chunked really low. You called out the shock blast. He also took a tower shot there, did get low, and Someday wanted to look for that angle on the flank, but Ziggs was kind of just harassing them all, pushing them back, poking and prodding at the rest of the 100 Thieves squad. So even if Someday went for it, his team would not have been able to follow up, so it didn't make it a viable play to look for. But that poke on Tomo is one potential way that they can get back in. There's no lifesteal on this Kaisa, so if you can land enough poke on him, you can take him out of the fight, but it's going to be tough, and Dignitas looking for a fight.
Yeah, Santorin found the Glacial Prison on Quid, but unfortunately, he was imprisoned on top of the Mega Blast Cone, so his ally could just save him.
No one's answering Ksante right now, so he takes a turret bounty up in top lane. Are they going to try to contest here?
The only teleport that could answer someday is from Jensen. Rich does not have his available right now, so Dignitas just going to 5-man the Drake.
Okay.
100 Thieves has no way to contest it. Someday is going to get the tier 2 in top lane, and now we have the recall from Jensen as Someday will just get the turret and get out.
Someday just got really rich because he got isolated gold on both those. He's 2,700 gold in pocket. So yes, you did give up that third dragon, but I think it's the right call here. Just farm a ton of gold back. If he can get back, spend that up. That's going to be another item completion here for the Gwen, and he's actually ahead of Rich now because he spent that additional time in the side lanes, got a couple bounties, got isolated turret gold. So maybe, just maybe, there's a window for him to get in through those side lanes.
And also considering Gwen is a drain tank and Dignitas have been ahead so far, there's certain conditions in League of Legends where you can have one of those wait, what just happened fights at a much greater likelihood, and I feel like it's with a drain tank champ, especially when the team hasn't been having a lot of fights so far. It's 7 kills in 30 minutes. It's not been a particularly bloody game, and Dignitas has been playing from ahead for the past, what, 15, 20 minutes?
Yep.
So if all of a sudden you don't respect Someday, you don't focus the Gwen down, and this 3-item Gwen can find the back line, chop up those carries, there is still an angle here for 100 Thieves.
Absolutely, and hey, even if he can just get in that back line and zone those carries off, they don't have a tremendous amount of damage in the rest of the squad, so that could maybe open up a window, and now they're going to TP in, they're going to try to look for something.
Oh, but DoubleLift might already die! The bomb coming in from downtown! DoubleLift potentially saved, but no, sir, it won't be enough. But Someday's trying to fight back. The snip, he's 1v4, and he's doing a hell of a lot of damage, and Rich won't be able to find anything back.
Oh.
This is what I was talking about. Someday is the X factor. It looked bad. Closer barely survived. DoubleLift died, but Someday saves the fight.
He just got so much gold there as well. I saw 1K shutdown pop up in the midst of that, so a massive amount of gold coming back towards their team. They look for this one more time, but yeah, DoubleLift just gets chunked out solo, gets tagged by that Kaisa Void Seeker over the wall, then gets ulted up here by Santorin. The ulti comes through from Jensen. There was just so much damage put on him. He flashes back, but it's the Q from Tomo. He flashes forward, gets that Q. The bolts follow after DoubleLift, so yeah, he has the bailout on him, but he's gonna go down. Then on the other side here, DoubleLift is down, but it's Someday who's getting this opportunity, who's cutting through that backline. It was a 650 shutdown, excuse me, not a 1K, so maybe I saw those two things combined, but a lot more gold again going the way of Someday. He now has another 1,600 in pocket, so he's got pretty much enough for his Void Staff completion. That would be his 4th item, and he is going to be a real problem.
This is an issue for Dignitas, like you were talking about all the way back in the start. When you're largely AP damage, you got to be able to burst somebody down. If you can't 100 to 0 a drain tank, all of a sudden, all the efforts for naught as he heals back up with those ultis and the repeated casts.
Absolutely, and DoubleLift now feels like he's at the point of the game where he can build a little bit of MR. He has that Hex Drinker picked up. We'll see if more of these 100 Thieves members do start splashing into a bit of MR, if there's going to be a Banshees or anything like that on Someday. I personally feel like he should probably just go full AP and try to kind of carry from this spot because they bought him a lot of time. He's been able to get gold through side lanes, and he has an opportunity to really showcase his skills in this game, to turn around what looked like a sure loss for a long time. It is going to be a big amount of pressure, though, on 100 Thieves in these next couple of minutes, and Quid almost gets caught.
Santorin wanting to jump in here, but he loses a lot of HP very rapidly. Someday's already cut him down, and now Poome's in the middle of 4 players. Jensen's bomb does a decent amount of damage, but Rich goes all out against Someday. He tries to get a kill on Tomo, but no! The Gwen finally drops. It's a 1 for 2. 100 Thieves win the fight, but now they got to get back home.
Yeah, we'll see if they can get anything more. You said it, the supers are already in the base, so DoubleLift has to go back. He's going to be able to clear that out. Someday showcasing a lot of his power. If 100 Thieves ever get a fight, though, where the 100 Thieves backline can follow up on what Someday is doing in the front line, I think they're going to crush it.
Oh, but now Closer's got to be careful. He flashes to escape as Rich, Tomo, and Jensen try to chase after these guys. Rich still continuing to just zone everybody else away. Mega Blast Cone takes him back over the red buff, and Dignitas is starting up the Baron with only 2 players. Nobody's tanking it. Okay, now Rich goes back over the wall. He's going to be the tank now. Tomo no longer having the damage debuff, but Quid is rejoined. Accelerated Shock Blast. Jensen's in danger. Pathmaker from Rich to buy enough time for the carries to escape. Tomo kills Closer with a long-range Void Seeker. Rich survives. Void Seeker again, this time on a Quid. Quid. Tomo getting away from the Shock Blast now. Another Void Seeker fired out, but this one will seek nothing.
Man, they are lucky that Dignitas, was able to actually get away with that. The TP now coming in. Quid has got to run here. We'll see if they can actually find him. They do get the speed up there from Busio, but they can just go right back to Baron. That seemed very risky. With Tomo and Jensen tanking that up, I thought that was going to be a potential colossal in. I mean, Santorin wasn't even there. He was respawning coming out from the base. They didn't even have their jungler. But at the end of the day, they narrowly avoid a lot of the damage from 100 Thieves. They're able to get one kill back on a closer. And it is going to be Soul now, very likely going the way of Dignitas because closer is dead, the dragon has spawned, and Dignitas is going to be straight onto it.
Dignitas looking to collect that soul because they know this dragon itself, this is not a Baron. You cannot be collapsed on and punished at nearly as easily here. Plus it just dies so swiftly, just to Tomo's damage alone. The power of the plasma procs and everything from Kaisa, way too simple. But that gold lead, Isaac, that was 4.5, 5,000 gold earlier, is now down below 3K. Yes, there is Chemtech soul for the side of Dignitas, but 100 Thieves still has a fighting chance here. They got to make sure they're sidestepping away from this not Xayah, excuse me. They got to sidestep Xayah away from the Kaisa poke.
Absolutely. Every time it hits you, the cooldown is basically cut in half. It is really difficult to deal with. Shoji and Jayce, though, has kind of reached late game, and this hits that point where you can get 2 shock blasts off per acceleration gate, and your poke really ramps up. And again, there's no sustain on Jensen, there's no sustain on Tomo, so if Quid can actually hit poke on those characters, it becomes really tough to actually take those fights. But at the same time, Jensen is monster strong. He has his death cap, he's got so much AP, so any poke from him is going to crush him.
It's a poke war between the two sides, as Someday is also a frightening front line for 100 Thieves. It's impossible for anybody on Dignitas to walk anywhere close to this guy and survive. 100 Thieves now looking to take their chance in the driver's seat, going after the Baron, starting it up.
Scary versus Ziggs.
It's scary versus Ziggs, but they also have the Renata and Maokai combo for themselves. There goes the Maokai ulti. 100 Thieves looking to try to secure the Baron. A Santorin and Rich tank up here on the front line. Mega Inferno Bomb not going to find any target. 100 Thieves securing the Baron for themselves. Very low HP here on Santorin. Void Seeker coming out. It lands on the closer. Quid tries to escape the depth charge, chases after him, but where's the follow-up? Tomo coming in with a killer instinct, and Quid drops to Ksante. Now the rest of 100 Thieves have to try to get the hell out. 4 players still left alive. They've all got the Baron. Dignitas aren't going to find any more kills just yet, but what else can they get? You don't just want to trade a single kill for giving away the Baron.
I don't think they can get anything here against these Baron up waves. 100 Thieves is going to get back to base. It's just going to be a reset here for Dignitas. Dignitas did not execute properly on that fight. Jensen looked for the ulti, was looking for this multi-man ulti, but there was no CC to set it up, and he didn't have it to actually follow up when they did land CC, so didn't elect to actually throw it now. I thought what they should do is from 2K, throw your combo into the pit and smite down the Baron. Try to actually combo that with it, or you have to use the Nautilus ulti or some sort of CC to guarantee that it comes down. And this was an early smite, but Santorin was not in range to actually get his own smite off. He never actually got into that Baron pit. Then, unfortunately, because he used that ulti early, he didn't have it to follow up on Poome's ult there, so couldn't actually use it as 100 Thieves were running away. So they got to make sure that they are coordinating. They got to make sure that they're still on point with this, because this is getting a bit dicey. And at the end of the day, 100 Thieves have a really good shot in this game.
Do you still think Dignitas is favored to win from this point? Because
I think they're
I don't know.
Probably slightly favored if they execute really well. I still think it's really hard for Jayce to survive. I mean, he has a stopwatch now too. If they actually get their proper engage and have a Ziggs ulti hitting multiple members, the Ziggs ult is going to do like 60% of your HP at this point in the game. It's so much.
Observers, can we hover over the Ziggs ulti tooltip?
I can check it for you.
And see how much it does?
It is about 1,300 damage right now.
Is that in the sweet spot?
Let's see. It says 1,300 damage in the center. Yep.
Okay.
And 900 at the edge.
That's pretty powerful stuff. So hopefully for Dignitas, Jensen can find one of those lockdowns there on top of a target who is CC'd by Santorin or Poome or Rich. Dignitas has this CC, but they also have a rapidly evaporating gold lead, man, down to only 1,500 now. Baron only 45 seconds left on that one for the side of 100 Thieves. They've at least been able to catch up a lot compared to the previous state of the game.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Dig, you're looking back to that state from 15 minutes through 30 minutes where everything just kind of stayed the same, and you're wondering, why didn't we do more?
Yeah, they just didn't push the pace of the game, unfortunately, for them. They do have the soul. That's what they really got to show for it, but it's the weakest soul in the game, right? And that is going to be a frustrating thing for them. Like, if they had Infernal Soul on top of this, that poke would become that much more threatening, right? You know, both from the Kaisa as well as the Ziggs. Unfortunately, they do not. It is going to make their front line, you know, that much more durable. But at the end of the day, there's not a great answer for Someday. And if Someday gets access to the backline, it becomes so hard. There's also no sustain at all in Tomo or Jensen's kit. So that means that any poke from Quid becomes really, really powerful. You land 1 or 2 shock blasts before the fight, maybe they can't even take it. I do think this game is going to come down pretty much just to the Elder fight. I think that's going to be it, right? I think we're going to have a 5v5 at Elder. Whoever gets that is likely going to win the game unless they're getting aced as they take it. So everyone is just trying to complete as many items as they possibly can. Tomo now just completed his death cap, so he's fully done. DoubleLift has a Bloodthirster now, so he finally has that sustain, and he has the Maw to keep him alive through that 100-0, and now he has the sustain to be able to stick through any of that initial poke. So it is going to be very difficult to deal with him. And Someday now just completed Death Cap, and he's on 6 items.
Yep.
DoubleLift still has to be careful, though, because he just ate 2 Void Seekers and lost half his health.
Third one was heading right for him, but Closer blocks it. DoubleLift going to get the auto attacks there onto the blue to heal back up some of that, as Dignitas is pushing down mid lane. 100 Thieves. Okay, DoubleLift is aware of these now. He knows he's got to dodge him. You can't be starting these fights off with no HP to work with, as there are still 2 exposed inhibitors on the side of 100 Thieves. Someday is ready to pressure this flank. 100 Thieves trying to stay defensive with the other 4. Dignitas knows, though, that if they jump in, it's the Maokai and Renata ulti combo they're going to have to fight through.
It's all about the poke battle, right? You can't hard commit to it because of that ulti, as you're saying. So you have to land poke. You have to be able to create space. I think it's smart that they pilfer away these jungle camps, because you don't want DoubleLift to have anywhere to actually lifesteal. If you land poke on him, you don't want him to be able to go back to Wolves and heal up. And once you're in the river, he doesn't have those mid lane minions to be able to work with. But the Bloodthirster obviously has been doing a lot of work for him over this last couple minutes. He would have had to gone back to base if he didn't have that completed. So it's just looking for this poke. They are making sure that Dignitas keeps their tanks in between Quid and the carries. Every Shock Blast is getting kind of eaten by Rich or Santorin until this one. And now Someday is threatening on the side, and this could be really dangerous. If he can find that correct angle, it could be game ending.
Nice Void Seeker back there from Tomo, hitting DoubleLift. Santorin again, getting tagged by a Shock Blast. 100 Thieves coming in. They don't just want to allow their opponents to get away with it, but now the engage from Poome finds Closer. He's locked down, but he flashes out to escape. Renata ulti, keeping Dignitas from chasing after him, as Rich stares Someday in the eyes and won't allow him to enter into the fight just yet either. Dodges out of the snip. It's the Elder, started up by Jensen and the rest of Dignitas. They've already got it down below half HP. It might just be a flip over the Elder. Closer's still alive, but he's very, very low, and he has no flash. Someday coming in through the pit. Poome in the front line, but DoubleLift's already killed him. Super Mega Inferno Bomb, not going to find it just yet. The Dragon goes the way of Dig. DoubleLift tries to get away. A little bit more damage. Ain't quite going to find him, but there's the Elder shutdown. Dignitas winning the fight. They've already killed 2. Looking for the last bit of them. Rich gets a double kill with the Elder laser. It's Quid. DoubleLift and Closer down. Someday and Busio have to hold 2v4.
It's going to be hard because Rich is going back to base. He's just going to TP back. They're going to try to push for the end here. That Elder making all the difference. Closer was so low, just dies as he tries to go into the pit, and now it is really only up to Someday, but he's got no ult, he's got no flash, and I think he's got no chance.
No Zhonya's either. It's a nigh impossible task. It got really scary for Dignitas here for a while, but now they're looking to end the game. Someday drops the Hallowed Mist, but it's 100 Thieves dropping before Dignitas. It took 42 minutes, but Dignitas just took out the Thieves and punched their ticket to playoffs.
Dignitas get a big win here over 100 Thieves. They were tied with them in those playoff standings. It's also the first win for Poome since coming into the team here with Dignitas, so a nice game to be able to get in for him, but this one definitely took a long time for Dignitas to close out. They made him work for it.